Weiter. Maseches Bovekame Daf Tzadi Amud Beis. We are in a few lines before, in the last two dots. The two dots, Toner Rabbanon. Shol Tam Shehemis. We spoke yesterday the Shiur Leilu Nishmas Ovi Moira Menachem Ben Akiva. Ule Ilu Nishmas Rus Bas Shalom Sor Bas Moshe. Ve'lefu As Yudis Bas Rivka Racha Noilot Ben Tomo. ולרפוא אס נוח גנאל בן יולי אוריה. סוף שחול ישראל, להצלחת all the Jews in Ukraine should quickly come to Eretz Israel safely. Tono Abonon. We said yesterday there was a discussion between Shimon HaTeimoni and Rabbi Akiva regarding do you or don't you have to have the evidence in Beis Din. The evidence itself, when the Eidim are made and they say, we saw Reuven hitting Shimon with a rock, throwing a rock at Shimon, and Shimon died. We have to say, is it or isn't it because of the rock? The rock that he threw at him, was that a lethal killer rock or not? What?
Lethal weapon.
Lethal? Okay, lethal, little. Was it little or lethal? Okay, so then that's a question. Shimon HaTeimoni says they actually have to bring the evidence to Beis Din, and Rabbi Akiva says no, mapitom. We always rely on the Eidim. So if the Eidim saw the size of the stone, we rely on them. I assume Allah is like Rabbi Akiva. We're going to see the Gemara today doing twists and turns in order to make everything be like Rabbi Akiva. And by the way, I made a mistake yesterday, and I apologize. The pasuk yesterday that was quoted, "Be'even oy be'eg roif." So even though the sugya does have to do with killing with a stone or with a grof, with a fist, that particular pasuk, the particular pasuk that we quoted, are two psukim. That particular pasuk, Evan or Egrov, does not talk about killing. It talks about harming. But really, these are the two sides of the same coin. In other words, the Evan or Egrov, was the Evan strong enough, big enough to cause death, or was it strong enough only to cause injury? That's the question. Okay. Now we're following the same thing, and we're going to have a visit back home. We discussed at the beginning of the Masechta, the first half of the Masechta talks about Shor Tam, Shor Muad, and the Masechta is basically going back there for one sugya that's to do with evidence being brought to Beis Din. So let's recap on what we've been doing for a long time. Everybody knows what's a Shor Tam. Shor Tam is a show that gored once, twice, up to three times. B'chlok is 3 or 4. And at the beginning, how much does the shore pay? The first few times, how much does the shore have to pay? The dayanim have to pay? Half, says everybody. Very good. What's the mode of payment? Credit card, PayPal, cryptocurrency? How do you pay when your Shor Tam gored? From where? Goofy, very good. Goofy goof. From the goof of the shore, from the body of the shore. If the shore itself disappeared, if the Shor Tam has disappeared, has vanished to a black hole, then the dayanim of the show is exempt, is potu, because we learn it from psukim. You divide the two shvorim. You only actually pay from the goof of the Shor Tam. That's another kula of the Shor Tam. What's a Shor Mu'ad? A Shor Mu'ad is a shore that does Mu'ad, right? A Shor Mu'ad is the one that gored already 3 times. And how much does he have to pay? An entire thing full. And how does he pay? Mode of payment? Checks, credit cards, ben aliyah. Oh, Shlomo is a ben aliyah. From the aliyah, aliyah means from the best of your land, from regular cash, or if you have a few pieces of land, the best one, the one in Savion, yeah, you got to pay. So the Shor Tam pays migufoi, half, and the Shor Muad pays from aliyah. What happens if a shor gored and harmed someone? Well, we just said he harmed, so he has to pay the owner. What about if the shor killed someone? If the shor killed someone, whether Tam or Muad, what do you do to the shor? Kill him, stone him, very good. Shor Niska, very nice. But there has to be a mishpat. You actually do a proper court case to the shor with, according to one opinion in Sanhedrin, 23 people. And the shor has to be present. You treat the shore like a human being. I think we beat California. No, Mamish very liberal. Yeah, you treat the shore as if he was a human being. all the more so, we'll see also that you don't do Inuy HaDin. Once we decided that the shor has to be put to death, we're not allowed to postpone and delay and dawdle with the din, just like by human being. Once it was decided by human being or gets close to the decision that he may have to be executed, we don't schlep the din and let the person wait, which I think is one of the daiti. I'm not an American. It's not exactly just to what they do in America, right? They stay in the, how do you call it? The thing of death, no? Death row for a long time sometimes, as far as I know. No? Am I wrong? I think they stay for a long time, and that's not nice. You don't do that, and because you don't let a person wait, and for a long period of time, wait and see, will I die or will I live? So the same thing with the shor. Maybe it's a shor's dayanim that's an issue. I'm just giving you all these introductions so you'll know what's going on over here. So once the shor was decided to put to death, that shor should be put to death ASAP. Now, another point. Once Beis Din decided that the shor should be niskal, this, by the way, is all good chazorah for the first half of Bava Kama. My question to you is, let's say somebody, you just can't see money being wasted or, food being thrown to the garbage. And he would say, Beis Din want to kill my shor. Okay, so instead of killing him a shor, I'm going to shech the shor and eat the meat. I'm not going to use it because I understand the shor really has to be put to death. Instead of stoning, I'll shecht my shor niskal, the shor that's supposed to be niskal and was sentenced to death. I'll shecht him and then I'll eat the meat for Pesach, for Purim. What about that? You like it? Like the idea? Well, the shor is not treif. It's a shor. It's kosher. The rabbi.
What he did.
Mm-hmm. I'm asking, is the food kosher? You're telling me all kinds of interesting hashkafic ideas. You cannot. No way, Jose. No way. Shor and Iskal, one sentence to death is called Osur Be'ano, a dead cow walking. Good. It's Osur Be'ano. Just like I cannot derive any benefit from the cheeseburger that Tim McKenzie just made, a very succulent, beautiful cheeseburger, but it's also Be'ano. Can sell it, can derive ano, and halachically it's worth 0. So too, the shor niskal, once decided, one sentence to death, is one of the classical, typical isur ano lekulei alma. Already questions? No. Yeah, questions before. Yeah, okay. No, go ahead. Quick one. No. Shotam hemis vehizik. A shotam did 2 things. He was a tam, and then he starts going off the derech. First of all, he killed someone. He killed a person. So be'etzem, he has to be put to death. Vehizik, and also he damaged someone. On Sunday, he killed someone. And on Monday, before he was brought into Beis Din, on Monday, he gored someone and punched him in the leg and hurt his toe. Okay? So he has 2 charges against him. Death and also nezikin. What do you do? As you can see on the whiteboard, only you right away start with the first charge, what he did on Sunday, you done din in nefashos. Once you did din in nefashos, meaning you sentence him to death, then doninoiso din momenos. You do not do momenos. You cannot now judge him for the moment. Why not? Not kimle. There's no kimle of animals. No kimle of animals. There's what? Because he's not dead. He's not exactly dead. But because he's a sentence, so what if he's sentenced to death? So what? So why can't you judge the owner for the momentous? Because the shor tam is paid from his body. And since the body of the shor, one sentence to death, you know how much it's worth? This shor was worth $500,000. Very good. I like that. One sentence to death in 1 second, it went down from million to 0.0000/0 because it's worth nothing. Then you cannot judge din momentous because there is no shor to take the money from. Because the only source of payment of shor tam is from his body, where his body is like not here. It's as if halachically his body disappeared into thin air, into outer space. He's just not here. Yeah. But why aren't you allowed to take? I'll ask you a question, which I'm sure you know the answer. Why can't you take a lulav of a dezorah? It's a nice lulav of a dezorah, not mitzvah babavera. I like this. I think it's very nice to combine different religions. Maybe you'll take lulav of a dezorah. And why not? You know why not? Because it's osir ba'ano. Osir ba'ano means you don't have a lulav. It's as if the lulav is not here. You need the lulav of dalit tfachim. You have 0 tefach. Something that's also bano, kilu doesn't exist. So Mimela, you can't judge him because you can't take the money from the source, which is the shore, because the shore is not here. It's worth 0. However, Muad Sheimis Behizik, same thing happened to the Tam's friend called Muad. Muad is a bad boy. Muad is already known to the police. Muad Sheimis Behizik, same thing. On Sunday, Mr. Muad killed someone. On Monday, Hizik, it harmed someone, it injured someone. Done in Oisodine Momonois. By him, it's different. By him, it can work. First of all, you change the order. Now, you may ask why not in time. We'll talk about it later. Please don't ask me for time. It's a good question. Just listen to Muad now. Done in Oisodine Momonois. You change the order, and that's okay. You start with a Monday charge before Sunday because we want to be smart. Done in Oisodine Momonois. First of all, you judge him Dine Momonois, and now he has to pay. From where does he pay the Shor Muad? Not from his body, from the Aliyah, from cash, from the house, from wherever. And then you do it in the Foshas. I don't know why. Neither does the Gemara for now. You change the order. You first of all say Dina Mominus. Now, Mr. Shor owner, Shor Muad, you got to pay now Nezek Sholem from your fancy house in Savyon, Dina Mominus. And then Dina Nefashis, you kill the shore. Kodmu v'dunu Dina Nefashis. Let's say they changed the order in the first judged him Nefashis, and now he's dead meat, dead shore walking. And Chozim Radonin also Dina Mominus. So that's it. You can't now take him to court for the Momonois. But the question is, why? When we talk about short time, it makes sense. Once judged that he has to be put to death, there's no source of payment anymore because he's dead halachically, he's worth 0, and his short time pays from his body. The body's not here. But they showed Muad, something doesn't work right. Why? Shor Muad can be completely dead, so what? You can still judge the Bailim for the fact that there was another charge of Mammon that he hurt someone's toe or he hurt someone's cat, whatever, and still he can pay from his bank account in Switzerland. He can pay from his socks and shoes. Why? The Gemara is asking the question, not me. Correct the Gemara. The chikadmu v'denu din nefashos, even if by mistake, or why should it be a mistake? Let's say the first judged him nefashos, and yes, he's worth 0. He's sentenced. For what? For what? My Havi, what happened? Lihader v'lidani, nami mominus. You can still judge him mominus and say to the owner, Mister, there are 2 charges. Your shore is dead, or about to die. It's about to die. Asma, we can still judge you for the mominus, can still take you to court for mominus, and I'll charge because the mominus are being paid from where? From your cash, from your bank account, from your house. The shore doesn't have to be alive, doesn't have to be kicking, doesn't have to do anything. That's a question of the Gemara. So far, so good. Why do we say question? One question only. Nothing happened that's too earth-shaking. The Gemara is asking a question. Why do we say that a shor mu'ad? Mele tam, I understand. Tam, one sentence, end of story. But a mu'ad that anyhow pays from different sources, from the aliyah, from my fancy house. So who cares if you first judged him for nefashos? Let him be called 0. Let him be called Isra no, and all this carry. For what? He can still pay from the aliyah, and all is good. That's a question. Omarove. So now comes the Gemara with 2 possible answers. Answer number 1. Now we'll see how it's connected to our sugya. Oh Hashem. Omarove. Ashkachtinu. I found L'Rabbanon de Beirav. I found the yeshiva boys, the yeshiva bachrim. I found them. I spoke to them in learning. The Yasvi v'Ka'amri. They were sitting and they were saying, "Ho mani, you know who's the author of this brisa? Rab Shimon HaTeimoni. This is Rab Shimon HaTeimoni. What does Rab Shimon HaTeimoni say? Well, we know. The Oma, what does it say? Ma egos meyuchad shemoso le'eda v'le'edim. Remember, Shimon HaTeimoni was concerned about the juxtaposition of the words egroif, fist, and stone. And what did he say? Just like the egroif, when the person comes to Beis Din, and we want to know, was your egroif hard enough to kill someone? We see how strong the guy is, yeah? And we say, just like an egroif is seen by the Eida. Who's the Eida? Eida Charedis, the Badat, the Beis Din. Just like an egroif, just like what? The fist is something that Beis Din can see, so to the stone is something the Beis Din should see. In very simple words, Rav Shimon HaTimoni says one thing: the physical evidence, the object of the evidence, yeah, the one always in the courtroom drama, has to be in Beis Din. Alma, that is to say, let's continue to the Tzadi Aleph. Ba'inan umdana de Beis Dina. We see that Beis Din has to gauge, Beis Din has to assess and see also for Nezikin, not only for Misa, also for Nezikin. As I told you, I corrected my mistake from yesterday. The Pasuk of Eben or Egroif talks about Nezikin. And we have to know, well, there's Nezikin over here, both Nezikin and Misa, although the Gemara is going to ask a question later on, but for now the Gemara assumes that both Nezikin and Misa, we have to assess and see for ourselves, what kind of stone are you talking about? Is that a harmful stone? Is that a lethal stone? What's the story? So what if you have to gauge? So that means to say that in order to assess the bull's what? Ability, in order to know if you harmed someone, the bull has to be in Beis Din. Because we have to know the guy that was harmed by the show comes to Beis Din with his broken toe and says, this shore gored me in the toe. So we have to know, is that possible? Is this shore strong enough to break someone's leg? Yes or no? According to Shimon HaTimoni, the shore has to be present in Beis Din. That's why we cannot play the game that way. Why? Our dear shore over here. Kevan, when the first time to the Aleph from the Aleph. Kevan the Gomer Dina because once he's already sentenced to death, and now that's it. The Gebel was given thing yesterday that he has to be put to death, sentenced to death. We can't now say, hold it. We have an old account. We have a different story with you, Mr. Shore and his owner. You can't be put to death too quickly, because we have to now start your other court case of what? Of the money, of the injury. And in order to have the court case of the injury, according to Shimon HaTimoni, the shore has to be there, so we see whether this shore, just like the stone or the fist, is this shore able to do that? No, so why not? Why can't we judge him to death, sentence him to death, and then the morning after start another court case with the shore jumping around in Beis Din, and we can see whether he's a killer shore, not killer, whether it's a harmful shore that can actually hurt someone's toe. I told you. We don't do Inuy HaDin to the poor shore. We even beat Tel Aviv with Tzar Balei Chaim. You don't do Inuy HaDin, I saw you, Baruch. We don't do Inuy HaDin, which means once the shore was sentenced to death, we don't schlep and push away and postpone the din, and therefore we have to do the other way around. So we switch the order. Don't ask me about Tom, please. Tom is coming soon, okay? Tom again. That's why we do the other way around. First, we judge him for mominus. First, we talk about mominus. That's the first court case. And what? The shore is there, alive and kicking, and we can see whether yes or no, according to Shimon HaTimoni, whether this is a shore that can actually, break someone's leg, as he was claimed to be. Finish the story. We decide whatever we decide that, let's say, he has to pay him chetzi nezek mi aliyah, not chetzi nezek sholem aliyah, it's shor muad, but she'en ken. No, and afterwards, you start the court case of the nefoshois. Then you start the other court case of nefoshois, and you sentence him to death if you really found out that he killed the other person. So far, so good. And that, by the way, is that we're not going to change from. That's a very good shot in Shimon HaTimoni. I'll see you soon, Baruch. The Gemara is going to suggest that this may also be working according to Rabbi Akiva, but so far it's a workable shot. Yes, Baruch.
Question. Why do we have
to give into the story? Third line, top of the page, Be'ezras Hashem. I want to give you a small introduction here, another tiny one. The Gemara is going to say something now which would sound maybe strange, like the Gemara is looking for a nukimta from, in Hebrew we say from under the carpet. But this is kind of Gemara that only the end you'll see the whole picture together, and you'll see that the Gemara is saying something very smart. In other words, it's like those, art pictures. You see here, you see there, you don't know what's going on until you see the entire picture, then you see it's beautiful. So give the Gemara a chance. No questions, please, till 6-7 lines from now. Ta'amina lehu, ano. I told them, I have to add something here. Okay. Okay. I told them, said Rabbi Akiva to the Talmidei Yeshiva. Okay. V'amina lahu, and I told them, no. I, Rava, I replied to the yeshiva students. So what did they say, the yeshiva bachrim? They said, this brisa fits. Like who? Fits very well with, suits Rabbi Shimon HaTeimoni. Amina lahu, no. I told them, no. Afilu tem Rabbi Akiva. Even according to Rabbi Akiva, this brisa can work very well. What did Rabbi Akiva say to Shimon HaTeimoni? What did Rabbi Akiva say? No, he does not believe in Evan or Egroif. He says, no, the evidence doesn't have to be physically in Beis Din. Make up your mind. Do you or don't you trust the Eidim? Just like you trust the Eidim about everything else. They told you that he felt that Reuven pushed Shimon off a 5-story building of, 10 meters, and he died. How do you know? Did you see the building? No. You trust the Eidim. So too, you should trust the Eidim that the stone was big enough to kill someone. So Rabbi Akiva does not think that the physical evidence has to be present in Beis Din. And I want to tell you, people, says Rabbi to the Talmidei Yeshiva, that brisa, who from some strange reason says once nefashos he cannot be judged with mominus anymore. Yeah, you first of all do mominus and then nefashos. Yeah, once nefashos you don't do Inuy HaDin. I have a different reason. I can make it work even according to Rabbi Akiva. How is that? He's making an ukinta, which may sound strange, I know. And he says, Kegoin Shaborach. He ran away, not the bull. Making a very funny ukimta here. Who's Borach? Look at the third line in Rashi. Important to see Rashi inside here. Rashi is very clear. Kigon Shaborach Bailov. The owner of the show ran away. You know why we don't do the judgment of the mominus? After he was judged for nefashos, he ran away. Fugitive. Who ran away? Here, Borach. Ran away. R.A. Here he ran away. After the first mishpat, the first din, the dayanim ran away. So what says Rashi? Once the person ran away, then where did he run away to? I don't know, to Russia. And now, once he ran away, we cannot judge him shaloi b'fanov. You never ever in halacha judge a person not in his presence. When he's absent, there's no din. And mimela, because he ran away after nefashos, you don't do mamanois. Strike the Gemara. Okay, I can ask many questions on that, but then the Gemara says, Iborach, if so, if he ran away, let's say there was not nefashos but mamanois, yeah? Right? How was the din mominus done? Beloy bailim. In other words, if you want to tell me that he ran away, so let's say he ran away here, how do you say, yeah? How do you have bechlal din mominus with no bailim? In this case, you have mominus and nefashos. If you want to tell me he ran away, how come you started bechlal din mominus over here? You told me he ran away. You always say they ran away before the mominus? Answers the Gemara, no. The kabil sahadi, u borach. We're talking like that. There was what? Very good, very good. They accepted the Eidim. There was a court case. There was negichos. We know that he owes the money. We know that he owes money. Uborach, and he ran away. And also says Rashi, very, very, very. Look at Rashi, the Kabbalah Sadi on the Gichos, the last fourth line in the page. Uborach ilkach ein lanu mima lishalem ukegoin deleis lei nichsi. Poor man has no nechosim. So the story was like this. The story was there was a court case already of, let's say, momonos. We know that he owes money, and this is a shor buad. You owe money, pay the money. He ran away, and he has no money left behind. What can we do? Nothing. We're left with, egg on our faces. We're left high and dry. What can we do? Fine. Correct the Gemara. Soif, at the end of the day, mecha mishtalim. You told me that in this case of momonos, yeah, that case is a case where you do momonos, and then you can do it in a nefashos. Mashma, the momonos, he did pay. Is there a place, is there a matzah for him to pay from? Says the Gemara, miridia. Yes, ridia. What does ridia mean? You basically make the shore plow. You make the shore plow and plow and plow. once he plows, just like you give people not national service. How do you call it? No, civil service. No, civil service. Yeah, like in Israel also. Instead of jail, they force them to volunteer for you. Community service. Right. Yeah, it comes back. Community service. Right. Not Shirut Leumi, something very, very different. That's all different story. Community service, say Shirut Ezrachi. In other words, we tell the bull, listen, bull, your owner ran away. Beis Din keeps the show, and he has to plow and plow and plow. This plowing is worth money for whoever he plows from, and that's how the show pays for the mominois. This is the pays from the mominois. Very, very cool. So now, now this comes very, very nicely. No questions. No questions. I saw you. First of all, if the first charge was money, we say, money? No problem. Mr. Shore, you have to plow, 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 plow. How much was your debt, Mr. Shore? Your owner ran away. You did not run away. He has to plow until he makes the 5,000 shekel that he owes. And then what? And then we do dine nefoshois. I don't know how he did dine nefoshois, because why? Because the Baalim ran away. Maybe what? Maybe the Baalim came back. Now we're going to come to the punchline of the Chiddush. 1 second. The other way around is not going to work, which means, let's say he did in the Foshas first. If we judge, this is now the punchline, now you're going to see how beautiful it is. Now comes the beauty. If the Foshas is first, yeah, then we have an issue. Why? Why can't we say there was no Foshas? He ran away. Now let him plow, plow, plow for the moment. No, he's not dead. He's not dead, but he's sentenced to death. So what if sentenced to death? It's what? And so what? But this is Shor Muad. Shor Muad loch patli. Because it's what? He doesn't need to have value because Shor Muad is from the Aliyah, not from his own body. So what? But he can still plow his value. The answer is, says Rashi, Inuy HaDin. If the shore is not yet sentenced to death because the death sentence didn't begin, then you say, hey, the owner ran away. So what? You plow, plow, plow for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 months until you make up the money that you owe the owner. Okay. And the shore, by the way, here the shore is alive. And there's no Inuy HaDin because the court case of death did not begin. Later on, the Foshas, I honestly don't know how the Foshas comes in. I guess the Baalim came back. Because otherwise, how can you judge him the Foshas? I think the Baalim still has to be there, as far as I know. Let's say, Nagid. But the other way around doesn't work. Now you see what Rava started saying, which was very strange, is actually very good. If you start with the Foshos and he was sentenced to death, I don't care that he's worth 0 because he doesn't have to pay from his own body. But the reason now we cannot start a new court case of Mominois, because here the Baalim ran away. The Baalim ran away after the Nefoshois. Here the Baalim ran away in the middle. Now we can't say, okay, the shore will plow, 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 because we don't do Inuy HaDin to the shore. And therefore we cannot let the shore stay here and plow his way through to pay the money of the Mominus, because a dead shore, a dead sentence, deathly sentenced shore, not because it's not worth, because Poshet it's Inuy HaDin. Now Rava comes with this brilliant idea. And before you ask your questions, now, Iridia, frag the Gemara, what I promised you all the time, if so, Tam, Nidani Dinem Ominous Bereisha. Why do we say by Tam, excuse me, you done din in the Foshois, right? And then there's no Mominous anymore. Why? Why not? So switch it around. Of course, by the way, the Tam, let's go back to Tam. Don't look at the Gemara, look at the gray board. If the Tam was done din in the Foshois, you can't do din moments anymore. As you all know, a short Tam that's worth 0, nothing to pay. So you can't start this way. But excuse me, I'm asking a question which bothered me all along. I'm answering. I'm jumping the queue, Baruch. I'm asking before you. Why don't we switch the order? Let the Tam start with the Mominus. Let the Tam pay the Mominus while he's still young and healthy and not sentenced to death. Pay the Mominus, mister, and then kill him. And it's not even Inuy HaDin. It's perfect. Why don't we do that? Get me? The short Tam should first pay with what? With plowing and plowing. I don't care anyway. Pay with your hard work. And it's not Inuy HaDin. and nobody and that's it. And then what? And then we'll go and we'll judge you to sentence you to death. Why not? Frag the Gemara, Yochitam, Nidane Dinam Omnas Bereisha, Benishtan Meridia. Reisha is the beginning, make him pay the mominus, judge him for the moment, sentence him for the money injury that he killed someone's toe or someone's dog. Benishtan Meridia. The Balim ran away. Who cares who ran away? Plow your way through. The Hadar Nidane Dinam Nefashos. And then once you finish paying your duty to society by what? Plowing, and saving 5,000 shekels and paying the injured guy, then go for the foshes. Lama lo? Answers the Gemara, you should know the answer. How does a short time pay? What's the only mode of payment of a short time? Ooh. Answers the Gemara, Omar of Mari, Breder of Kanas, Dois Omeres. That is to say, the mere fact that we do not suggest that solution, Ridia, which is plowing, Aliyah Demarahu. When a show plows, it's not called paying from his body. It's not his body, it's his work. And that's called Aliyah, that's called regular assets of the owner. Which means, in the Havamina, we thought, when a show plows, and a show tam, as you all very beautifully said, he can only pay from his body. We said, okay, let him plow, and the plowing is like his body to pay from that. Says Gemara, no, his plowing is not his body. When you go and you work and you produce computers or phones or shoes, that's not your body. That's your work. It's not your body. Mimela, but the short time, there is no solution. Ah, beautiful. But the short time, you only do nefashos, and then there's no mominus anymore because it's worth zero. You want to do mominus first? That would be very good. But since mominus here talks about the dayanim ran away to Acapulco, and now the shore is alone and there's no other assets, and what? The short time has to be paid from his own body, and the only mode of payment is his plowing. Plowing is not a body. Plowing is work. Since he can only be paid from his body, not from his work, and the only mode of payment now is his work, because the Bailim ran away with all his money. That's it. That's the only thing left is his work. Mimela, you cannot be paid from him. Why don't you take the actual shore? That's called a guest. Shaloi bifnei Bailim. We can't just confiscate the shore itself, because we don't do that when the Bailim is not around. The Bailim ran away, smartly enough. And Masha'en came with the shore muad. With the shore muad, it's very good. Now everything's perfect. The shore muad is a different story. Shore muad can be paid from anything. Mode of payment, ask any organization before Purim. Credit cards, checks, Rat Keva, we accept them all, no problem. Shor muad, anything goes, including the plowing. If the plowing works, why is it din in the foshes? You don't judge din and mominus? You know why? Because of Inuy HaDin. Once the shore is sentenced to death, we don't say, okay, you're sentenced to death, now start working for days on and on, for days on, in order to make up your mominus payment. No, that's Inuy HaDin for the shore. And that's why it doesn't work. The only solution is mominos, and then the foshois. Work, because your stupid Bailim ran away, and then we sentence you to death. I assume the Bailim came back here, I don't know. And then we start the nefashos, and we do the second din. I think the Bailim has to be there when they kill the shore. I'm actually now contemplating, before I'm listening to you and to you, I'm not sure, and I'm a little bit ashamed of myself, and I'm embarrassed, boisterous in public. I'm not sure that the owner of the show has to be there when they judge the shore for skila. I'll tell you why. Because no, that's what? But that's a different court case.
Different court case, yeah. But, the culprit is still there.
Oh, money. When I think what I'm saying, I'm not sure, but I think money issues. When it comes to money issues, my shore gourd, I'm losing money. Why? It's like payment. Just like I have to pay my short term gourd, I have to pay with the show. I'm the balabais. I'm the one who has to pay. Show muad, I have to pay to sell my house in Savion for that big injury, right? That's what shor muad or yeah. The shenken by the killing. If a short time killed, I'm not sure. I'm saying it very, very tongue in cheek. I'm not sure the Bailim has to be there. I'll tell you why. Because Lamaisa, the Bailim, once it comes to death sentence, then you kill the shore like Midin. It's not Midin Choshen Mishpat. It's Midin Sanhedrin, Midin Yardea. You kill the shore because it killed. Let's say a man killed. Does his family have to be in Beis Din, where in all the courtroom drama you see them, yes, gasping when they don't have to be there. You get what I'm saying? It's a shor's own din. When the shor killed, it's like his din, like a person. It's not because the dayanim is doing his, but I'm scared to say that because I don't know if I'm right. I'm not sure on the cloud, but that's just an idea. Okay, at this happy note, what there's a cute. No, you were first. Yosef, you see how to give you covered as you're the youngest in the group. The question, I'm going to repeat the question online. No, I'm going to repeat and actually also embellish your question. How do we allow the shor muad to actually plow? Isn't it dangerous because it can go crazy? I want to crystallize your question, polish your question. There is an opinion in the Mishnah, which I remember because I saw it in the dog shear. Rabbi Lezer says, shor muad en lo shmira ela besakin. Shor muad, there's no way you can guard him, you have to kill him. You have to kill the shor muad. Rabbi Lezer. He says the shor muad you have to kill. Says the Rif that we don't pass in that way. That's not the halacha. A dog that's bad, even a bad-tempered dog that we know is a bad dog, you have to kill. Rashi, I'm not being a fanatic. That's Mefosh and Rishonim. But a shor muad, you don't have to kill. What do you do with the shor muad? You have to guard him very, very well. So when we make the shor muad plow, in order to pay, he has to be very, very well guarded by, I assume, the shluchim of Beis Din, and that's the solution. You don't have to kill him. You just make sure that he's under, very, very strong supervision. You have to bring Putin, people like that, North Korea. They look after the shore. They make sure he goes the straight path. That's before the answer. Yes. That's a technical question. That's no. Yeah. You're next. Yeah. Boilu. Yesh omed lenizikin or en omed lenizikin, which means what I told you before is going to came up. Do we assess nizikin or not? What do we mean? We saw before a pasuk, that says when it comes to the question between the borderline between injury and death, we have to bring the stone to Beis Din according to Shimon HaTeimoni. Yeah, we know that there was something for sure. We know that Reuben threw a rock at Shimon, but was that rock really bad enough to kill, or was it only bad enough to injure? That's a question. However, when it comes to Nezikin or zero, the borderline between Nezikin or nothing, do we still also say the same thing? And we say, let's assess if this stone can harm, or maybe this stone cannot do anything 0-0? Yes or no? Let's continue the question. Mi amrinan, do we say, L'ktala hu da'amdinan? By killing, we make the umdana, the hachin of neshama, the hachi, by when it comes to yes or no death, we look at the stone and we say, this kind of stone does not take the neshama away, does not kill, and this one does. Yeah, is that stone, can that kill a person from 2-meter distance, or can it only harm him? Aval and Nezikin kodehu. Nezikin, we may claim that anything can always cause injury. When it comes to injury, we say it's even the smallest pebble, maybe, even the smallest pebble, or the smallest fall off the roof, or the smallest tiny thing can cause nezik. In other words, the two litigants came to Beis Din, okay? And one of them says, hey, my friend threw that tiny pebble on me, and it injured me, it harmed me in the nose, broke my nose, or it, tore a little bit of my ear. And the other one says, Mapitom, that stone is so small, it can't even do anything. Do we say that or no? Do we believe that some stones or some falls or something is too small to even cause injury? Or maybe we say no, anything can cause injury. Death, not everything causes death. You have to gauge, you have to measure. But maybe in the claim, this was too small to cause any injury, maybe it's not accepted. Or maybe it's not different to death. And maybe no. Just like death has a cutoff point from a certain size, certain distance, certain something, there's death, and below that there isn't death. Maybe also by Nezikin, there's a borderline between 0 and Nezikin. And we say that pebble, so cutesy tiny, doesn't do anything. Yes or no? That's a question. Do we bring the stone to Beis Din according to Shimon HaTeimoni, or according to Rabbi Akiva, by the way, What does Rabbi Kiva say? Rabbi Kiva also says that somebody has to see the size. Who is that? Adin, in the scene of crime. Do we actually have to look at the stone and see how big it is for Nezikin? Or do we say, no, Nezikin can always be caused even by the smallest one? Let's see the Gemara now trying to find out that suffix. Toshma says the Gemara quoting Rav and Shmuel and Daf Nun Amud Beis, Ma bo shesh bo k'dei lamis asot tfochim, as kol shesh bo k'dei lamis asot tfochim in the first wide line, which means, remember Shmuel says that just like if you have, actually that even Rav agrees according to Tosfos, just like a pit in the middle of the street, if it's 10 tefachim deep, it can kill. So too, if someone, let's say, was walking on a ramp in Rosh Hashanah, which was placed by someone, let's say someone else's fault, and he fell 10 tefachim on the floor, from the ramp to the floor, also a sar tefachim is a killer. Now the main part comes now. Let's say the pit was less than 10 tefachim deep, less than 10 tefachim, and a bull or a chamor fell inside the mace and they died. They're potter on death. 9 tefachim, even 9.5, because halacha does not view any bull less, not as deep as 10 tefachim, shallower than 10 tefachim. We say what? That the death did not come from there. He's dead. You have a shore that's too weak. But uzak boy chayev. But if the shore was damaged, the shore was injured in a bow that's less than 10 tefachim. Injury, yes, there is. It sounds like there's always injury in a boar that's less than 10 tefachim. Is it very quick in Linyan? Or
when you had a board that's less than 10 now, sure, animal never falls in, it's not 10 but the board itself is not.
Let's talk about board now, okay? We're talking now about a board that's less than 10 tefachim, okay? If it's less than 10 tefachim and the animal was injured, you got to pay Mr. Boar owner. My love, what does it mean less than 10 tefachim you have to pay? What does it mean? Mimata lemala kachoshiv. You start counting from the lowest to the highest. What does that mean? This is what we say. Mitefach be'ada soro. Anywhere between 1 tefach deep and 10 tefachim deep, misa leika. There's no misa. Nezikin ika. In other words, we say 10 tefachim. Cut off point. Red alert. 10 tefachim. That's a killer. Mashma. You count 10, 9, 0, count down. Anywhere between 10 and 1 is what? Is Nezikin. Alma, that is to say, Lenezikin Holdehu. Mashma, when Nezikin, even 1 tefach. 1 tefach, it's ridiculous, that's that. A shore fell into a bore, or basically 1 tefach deep, that's really, really shallow, and yet we allege his injury to the bow. Shmamino, that is to say, En Oimdin Lenezikin. Mashma, we'll see from here. When it comes to Nezek, you can't say there was too small, too shallow. You never know. Nezikin can always happen. That's what we want to assume. Death does not always happen. Nezikin, you're not a nice guy, mister. You did a bore of 1 tefach in the street. That's a big chiddush because it's even lovud. It's less than 3 tefachim. 1 tefach, maybe the shore somehow, it's like a step. Maybe he sort of lost his balance on the step. We can always connect it to you. Because when it comes to Nezikin, you can always connect it, and we cannot say it was too small, too short, too innocent. Maybe really this is what it says over here. Let's try and therefore answer the question. Answers Gemara, no. You misinterpreted the brisa about anything between 0 and 10, and the countdown should be not from 0 to 10 to 0, 0 to 10. This is what the brisa says. Asoro misa ika. When you have a bore of 10 tefachim deep, no question, it's death. If someone's show fell into my bow and it's 10 tefachim deep and he died, that's it. I'm a dead man, not dead, I have to pay. But pochas masoro, if it's less than 10, it's not one size fit all. Less than 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Purta, a little bit. Nezikin isa, misa leika. If it's a little bit less than 10, if it's 9 or 8, then we have Nezikin. And says Rashi, you go gradually. Yeah, if I remember correctly. No, it doesn't say it. I'm sorry. Yeah, but Lamaisa, a little bit less than 10, 9 or 8 injury, that works. But if it's 5 and there's injury, no. In other words, or depends on the animal. I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw somewhere somebody saying that it goes gradually. If the animal is very fragile and small, even 3 tefachim. If the animal is a big bull was injured, 9 tefachim. But the mice, it's up to discussion. It's up to the decision and the gauging and the assessment of Beis Din. And we do not say, continues the Gemara, Yesh omed le nezikin. Oh, the Gemara says it. Yesh omed le nezikin. Yes, there is omed to nezikin. Nezikin is not one size fit all. Nezikin, you have to assess each stone and each pit and each animal and each story and gauge carefully and see whether this is bad enough, strong enough to cause injury, yes or no. Continues the Gemara. I'm sorry that I missed the chol midi v'midi kiech demitzika ba'inan. Each midi v'midi, midi is something. Each and every thing, each and every scenario, you judge separately the mitzika bay. Each one according to the injury. A small kid, small fragile child with such a small stone. Yeah, he was injured. A big, husky, bulky guy with a small stone. No, you have to play the game and know exactly how to assess. But according to this side, by the way, we didn't answer the question. We just basically disengaged it from the boar story. The case of the boar, we don't know. We're not sure whether any boar below 10 would always be a reason for injury, even one tefach, yes or no. It still remains a question. Toshma, we're now aiming to find a different source for the same question. Ikau al einoi. Oh, the famous Eved. How does an Eved go free? One easy way, not so easy, is if the master, what did he do? He didn't smash him, he cut off his limb, or he poked out his eye, lo aleinu, his teeth, v'chule, or even one tooth. Ikau al einoi. Let's say he hit an Eved on the eye, v'simoi, and he made him blind, lo aleinu. Al oiznoi, the oizen, by the way, lo aleinu, is also one of the 24 organs. So let's say he punched him on the ear without cutting off the ear. That's a chiddush. He didn't cut off the ear. He didn't poke out the eye. What they used to do, you know that, to the slaves in America, as far as I know. Yeah, al ozno v'simoi, al ozno v'chershoi. He hit him on the ear and caused him to be deaf and dim. Eved yotze ben lecherus. That's cherus. If there was physical harm on the ear, on the eye, which was effective, there was an impact, there was life sentence for the Eved, he goes free, even though it's not out. However, keneged einoi, let's say he hit him very close to the eye. He wanted to scare him. He didn't touch him. He told, okay, you, Mr. Eved, you woke up 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, what about all the cotton picking for 4 hours? You're going to stand by the wall and I'll hit you close to your eye, very near your eye. Keneged without touching the eye. V'simoi, but sama v'eino roye. And all of a sudden, the Eved lost his vision. You can ask how? Well, scientifically, that's very funny, but that's what happened. Let's say that's what happened. He was so close to the eye, and boom, the Eved cannot see. Keneged oznoi, close to the ear, he punched next to his ear. Ve'eno shomea. Somehow, I don't know, his eardrum, something happened. Eino shomea. And Eved yotze ben lecherus. So that's not a nice master, but the Eved does not go free from that. The Odoin, although he was almost violent without touching him, Lamaisa, the Eved does not go free. My time, why shouldn't go free? The Odin was being violent, and what? And the Eved lost his sense of hearing or vision. Lav mishum debin an umdana. Sounds like it's an umdana thing. It sounds like we assess, we gauge, and we say, listen, it doesn't make sense that from an impact of a hit next to the eye would get blind. Doesn't make sense. Which means not every injury is always chayav. You have to gauge and see, is that impact, is that hit strong enough to hit the Eved and affect him? If it was next to the eye, it doesn't make sense that it's strong enough to cause him to be blind. No, from here we can see, but Nizikin we do have to gauge and we do have to assess and see whether it's strong enough and big enough. And says the Gemara, Lloyd, that's not the reason. Again, the Gemara rejects it and says a big yisoid. Everybody here knows the 4-letter word beginning with a gimel. Oh, Ellen, your wife's gonna get a note. Even before Purim, a note of excellence. Ellen has excelled in his studies in Oxbridge. Yeah, in Amud Yomi. Says the Gemara, Lloyd, that's not the reason. Mishum Damrina, because we say, listen to this big yesod in psychology. Big yesod in psychology now that the Bala Musa bring down. Who the Iv is nafshe. The Eved scared himself off. The Eved frightened himself, which means, as we're going to see soon. Good. He got an emotional shock, the Eved, since there was no physical contact between the Eved and the Odoin. Nothing physical happened. How is that called in nice language? Groma. Because there was no physical touch, no physical contact. And I punched the wall or the something chain next to him. And he was so scared that he became blind or deaf. Is the Odin a nice guy? No, shidduch for my daughter with the Odin, disgusting person. However, because it's Gloma, there was no physical direct, that's the word I was looking for, direct contact, that's why it's Potter, because the Eved chose in a way to be scared. When somebody scares you off, as long as it doesn't touch you, it's your choice. A person who's a very big Baal B'tochon with a lot of self-confidence in Hashem, yeah, he has a lot of confidence in the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Mimela, such a person would not be scared. So Mimela, the person who did it is not chayiv. Kidatanya, as it says in the Brisa, Hamav'is es chaver. What's lehav'it? Somebody scared off his friend. Somebody frightened his friend. Potter medina odom b'chai b'din shamayim. He's potter medina odom. Beis Din cannot make him pay, but in shamayim they'll punish him big time. Ketzad. Give me an example. Talk about oznoi v'chiyoshoy. Potter. Let's say said in his ear without touching his ear. But it was mechoresh, became deaf. He's potter. It didn't touch him. It's disgusting. It's terrible. But because there was no physical touch, it's just the airwaves and the eardrum. There's no physical touch. Allah believes very much. Negia, shomer negia. Yeah, as long as there was no touch, he's potter. Ochzoi. But if he held him, if at the very same time he held him even lightly, even a small touch, the talk about if at the same time we're like, boo, he touched him at the same time, even though he did not force him to stay. I think it's a me'ir, if I'm not mistaken, he's chayev. Because if at the same time you do the grama, you also touch him, then already you're chayev. Then the person is chayev, that's called nezik beyadayim. Which means we're disengaging the story from the inyan of Umdan and Nezikin. The Gemara says it's a completely different sugya, mystery, out of touch with reality. The inyan of the Ebed being boo, and then cheresh or boom, and he's blind, it's not because he wasn't strong enough and we need the hit, the impact to be strong enough. It's nothing to do with strength. It's to do with physical contact versus indirect nezek, which is called groma. That's the gimel word. That's an akuda, and that's a story. And if a person is scared to death, it's a terrible thing of the one who scared him off. At the end of the day, it's a psychological process within the person himself. It's not physical touch. By the way, everyone remembers the big kiddush. For me, it was a big kiddush. I'll listen to you soon. The Meiri says that if a person did something begroma, he's possible edus. So even though bedine odom, we cannot take out the money, but be'etzem he did nezik. And Mimela, he's like a gazlan, like a mazik. And Mimela, we don't accept his edus in Beis Din. You know, after scaring off his eved, he wants to be the aide at the fancy wedding of Prince Abela and Chaim Yankel. He cannot be an aide for the choisine, for the hatuna. Why? Because he's a rasha. But Lamaisa Beis Din can't take away the money from him. Oy vavoy, it's too late. Oy, 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 oy. Have a great day. And now it's time for questions. See you tomorrow, Mirz Hashem. Have a happy Erev.